And once I teach them the lesson of coherence or interference, of how the ego stops us from all of these wonderful, valuable things, we start learning about the what. Then I can get to the who, then the how, then the now, and applying my why.
Hello, fabulous person. Beate Gillette here, the Growth Architect. Welcome back to the Business Growth Architect Show, where we bring you cutting-edge business strategies from some of the world's most successful entrepreneurs, business transformation experts, and visionaries who want to help you to scale your impact. Look for one tangible strategy that you can take back and implement right away. And now back to our guest. And welcome back, everyone. This is your host, Beate Gillette, the Growth Architect, to another episode of the Business Growth Architect Show. Today, I am talking to a pretty significant man in entrepreneurship and in sports, somebody who has made a big mark in self-development and in helping a lot of people. He wants to encourage 1 billion people to be happy. So with no further delay, here is David Meltzer, and tell us who you are, what you do, and why you're so passionate about what you do.
Absolutely. Yes. I'm on a mission to empower over 1 billion people. So don't limit me. I'm going to empower over 1 billion people to create a collective consciousness, to make a lot of money, help a lot of people, and have a lot of fun. So whether it's as an author, a speaker, a coach, executive, TV shows, podcasts, movies, all the things that I'm involved with have one purpose in mind. That's to elevate others, to elevate myself. In order to empower them, I teach daily practices and values in order to do so. And I leverage an extraordinary amount of situational knowledge. From my first exit with West Publishing in 1995, we sold for $3.4 billion, to running Samsung's first phone division, to running the most notable sports agency in the world, Steinberg Sports and Entertainment, which they made the movie Jerry Maguire, and then partnering with Hall of Fame quarterback Warren Moon in a global sports marketing company. But over the last 4 years, really focusing on empowering others through content. So whether it's my social media, my free trainings on Friday for over 22 years, the playbook, which is my podcast, both Entrepreneur Playbook and Sports and Entertainment Playbook, or the TV shows Elevator Pitch, 2-Minute Drill, and Office Hours, in movies like The World's Greatest Motivators and others. I have been blessed to empower others to empower others.
I like that. And it's interesting because I think the thing that stands really out about you is that sometimes I think entrepreneurs go into business and they think there is a point that you achieve and that's it, right? So you get there and then you're there. I don't think you are that type. Before I dive into the strategy piece, can you share a little bit about what is it about that you're not done or you never will be done, that there is always something else?
Which is aligned with my strategy to enjoy the consistent, everyday, persistent, without quit pursuit of my own potential. So many people, including me when I was younger, I would focus in on what other people wanted for me, what I was missing, what I didn't have or what I didn't want. And I ended up getting what other people wanted for me, what was missing or what I didn't want. Instead, I just detached my emotions from the outcome. I'll be happy when, I'll retire when, I'll do this when. And instead, I simply focus all of my attention plus my intention on the coincidences that I want today. And that's where it is aligned with these daily practices and values, which are my strategy to life.
So let's talk about what does strategy mean to you? And you've been in business for a couple of years. So, is strategy, has that been something that you've always used? Is it something that you stumbled upon and then there was a day where you say, I better get really good at that? Tell us about how you use strategy and what that means for you.
Yeah, well, strategy has evolved for me. As a hyper academic at a young age, whose mom, didn't think the fetus was fully developed till after graduate school, that her favorite mantra was doctor, lawyer, or failure. Strategy for me was in the logical side of things. And then it transferred, it became an emotional thing. And now it's an adaptable thing for me. And utilizing people like Michael Singer, who've written The Surrender Experiment, or Wayne Dyer, The Power of Intention, or even The Course in Miracles, or Sadhguru's, guidance for me, I've learned that instead of trying to go get happy, healthy, wealthy, and worthy that I already am. And so my strategy is to figure out what I'm doing to interfere with what I want instead of trying to go get it. And I do that through these 5 daily practices that I have and my values.
So the question I have is, and this is something that really comes up with a lot of very successful and very empowered people, is I'm hearing the tones of spirituality, of connection, the divine, a connection to something bigger. And I think a lot of time, David, what happens is that people have this idea of toys and cars and stuff, right? So again, question in the strategy of life, right? What I'm hearing. Is that an evolution that happened for you where in the beginning you were charging to make it happen? Then you go like, wait, there's something else. Tell me about that.
Yeah. So the evolution is 3 different perspectives, 3 different worlds. The first was the world of not enough. I grew up with a single mom, 6 kids. She packed my dinner in a paper bag just so we had time to eat between her 2 jobs of being a second grade teacher and filling turnstiles at a convenience store with greeting cards. But then I became a millionaire 9 months out of law school, and it reaffirmed what I believed was money buys love and happiness. And for me, not only was I a millionaire 9 months out of law school, buying my mom a house and a car, which was my dream, but to have my first exit in 1995, for $3.4 billion to be a part of that, and then to be the CEO of Samsung's phone division, then to be the notable sports agent and all the different things that were happening, everything reaffirmed that money bought love and happiness. I called that the world of just enough. I thought I was a philanthropist, giving away millions of dollars, helping millions of people, but everything was a trade. It was a negotiation. It was a zero-sum game. If I was going to give, I would have to receive something back, or if I was going to receive, somebody else was going to have to lose it. And what I learned was that no longer did I have to buy things I didn't need. You mentioned the cars and the houses and the boats and the ski mountains and the golf courses that I owned. But I was buying things I didn't need when I wasn't happy. I'd buy more things, different things if I wasn't happy. I would buy things to impress people if I wasn't happy. I would buy things to impress people I didn't even like to be happy. And then, as you suggest, it evolved to a true understanding. And you mentioned the divine, because I think that was the critical change in my perspective, is once I had faith, and it doesn't matter your religious, spiritual, philosophical faith that you have. Once you have faith that there's something bigger than you, and that which is bigger than you, the omniscient, all-knowing, all-powerful, loves you more than your mom loves you or you love your own children. Once you believe that, all the setbacks, failures, pains, all of these things in our lives that we think is punishment become protection and promotion. Just as if you were a 3-year-old reaching out to put your hand on a stove, and your mother, who had never hit anyone, let alone you, slaps the back of your hand and screams at you, "No!" And you look up at her crying, going, "Why are you punishing, mommy?" She's not. She hugs you and says, "I'm not punishing you. I'm protecting you. I'm promoting you. I gave you that pain to protect and promote you, that setback, that failure, that mistake, that wrong business situation, that wrong person in your life. I'm teaching you a lesson. This is the only way that we learn." So once I left the zero-sum game of things happening to me in a world of not enough, or for me in the world of just enough, now a world with the divine of everything for everyone, everything comes through me with appreciation, acknowledgement, and empowers me to ask for more, because it's not a zero-sum game. When I ask for more, I'm adding on to what I already have and to what you have. It's not taking away and creating a void, shortage, or obstacle for anyone. And this was the true evolution of not only my strategy, but my mindset, my heart set, and my hand set for life and business.
I really love that. In business growth architecture, we talk about this all the time, that I believe, the universal laws, the law of reciprocity, and giving, gratitude, abundance, believing there's, you can't really take away from anyone else. I mean, that's just ridiculous, but people are so caught up in that. So that brings me to my next question. So from all the things that you've learned, what's your favorite strategy you want to share with the audience?
Mine is one of possibility, probability, and perspective. And so understanding, one, that I have to imagine first. And once I imagine what I want, and then I go from nothingness to a possibility. And so, I spend every day thinking about what I want, being creative and imaginative, because I want the nothingness to be a possibility. Then I think about who can help me, who I can help with what I want, how best I could get it done, utilizing lenses of productivity, accessibility, and gratitude, being as efficient, effective, and statistically successful so that I can become inspired by prioritizing what's important to me and applying my why. See, the difference mathematically between just imagining what you want, a possibility, and being inspired makes the possibility a probability. And then once something that I want is inspired, in spirit, connected to and through that divine source that we mentioned earlier, I now utilize discipline, consistent, persistent behavior with strategy and awareness. And if I take a probability, an inspired thought, and I apply discipline, strategy, and awareness, it then becomes my perspective. You see, most people try to understand the world and perceive it in a positive manner. I don't. I create the world I want through possibilities, probabilities, and perspective. I actually create the world with my thoughts. I don't perceive the world as it is. I create the world that I want with my thoughts. So in other words, I focus in on what I want. I think, say, do, believe, and feel, the main component that most people leave out. I feel what I want. I'm a clairsentient. And that creates my perception, and my perception is my reality, which is the process of materialization or monetization of ideas. So there's the true understanding of how I execute on that strategy of possibilities, probabilities, and perspective.
I can tell that you have done extensive studies on this, because the only person that can talk about these kinds of concepts is a person that has read the book, done the work, and really dove into it. I think that one of the things, David, and I'm sure you run into this all the time, and I bet that's probably one of the number one question that people come to you with, and they say, but David, what do I do if I don't know what I want? Or what do I know? What do I do if it's kind of a vague thing? Like I want to be successful, right? So how do you help them to shush them along on the path and say, okay, the clarity of the vision is what creates the desire, the passion, and the emotion that then puts the action and the discipline into place for the creation of that which you want. So how do you help them with that?
Yeah, well, I give them, number one, the strategy of non-negotiables. So I have them think about what's non-negotiable in your life. For me, number one is my health. And I will tell everyone out there, the best piece of advice that I've ever gotten was to spend a minimum of an hour a day on my health. Find something that I love to do that's healthy, that I would do for the rest of my life for a minimum of an hour a day. And the reason is that if you believe in the possibilities, probabilities, and perspective, wishing, asking the universe, asking others for help is the number one thing we can do. And when you are healthy, you get millions of wishes a day. And when you're unhealthy, you only have one wish. And I want to stress onto everyone when they come to me and say, I don't know what I want. Well, let's start with your non-negotiables. Do you want to be healthy? You want to live a long time? You want to be positive? What do you want? Then we go to the second non-negotiable, which is usually family. And so where we may still be caught in the world of just enough or not enough, when we talk about giving to others, we can't think about giving to ourselves. So I shift that paradigm and I utilize that of, okay, what do you want in your relationships with other people? We live as one with other people. And then I go to activity that we get paid for. Changing the energy of work to activity you get paid for, activity you don't get paid for. And if I take them through the non-negotiable exercise, it becomes very clear that we can figure out what they want. And, then I give them the tools of simple coherence lessons. Coherence is the ability to remember what you want and to do it. So I start with gratitude with most people, and I just have them say thank you. And it takes 0.1 seconds. And it's free. And every world thought leader I've ever met believes it changes your life. Mm-hmm. And I let them struggle to see why, even though they believe gratitude is so powerful and everyone else does, and it's free and it takes no time, why they can't remember to do it tonight or tomorrow morning or within 3 days. And once I teach them the lesson of coherence or interference, of how the ego stops us from all of these wonderful, valuable things, we start learning about the what. Then I can get to the who, then the how, then the now, and applying my why. These 5 daily practices I call the new day resolutions, taking into consideration new year, midterm, long-term resolutions without ever attaching our emotions to the outcome, but just simply what we want to do today to enjoy the consistent, persistent pursuit of what we want, who we can help, who can help us, how best to get it done, applying the why to the now, and allowing everything to come through us for others.
You know what? I see a lot of clarity in the way you talk about it, and there is no hesitation in the way you present it, which I really want to point out to our audience, because these principles that we are talking about, that David is sharing, that you're sharing, really are some of the foundational pieces of really happiness in life. You know, before I go on the podcast, I spend a moment, and I'm like, you know, and I look at the setup, I look at the place I'm in. I am grateful I get to talk to you. I'm grateful that I get to do this, that I get to share one of my favorite things, strategies. And it's sometimes this simple. It's not like a 10-minute practice. It's like a minute, but just to be in that moment and to, you know, I refer to it as getting out of your head and sinking into your heart, so that when you show up, you really show up fully and completely. So you mentioned family. In all of this, over 1 billion people, how does your family affect the way you show up in the world and how you do business?
My family watches me. So I know that my family doesn't listen to me.
You must have teenagers then.
Yeah, 3 teenage daughters. I have 3 teenage daughters, but they watch me. And I've always been taught by my mom to act as if your family, her line was to remember the integrity of your home. So in other words, when no one's around, act as if your family is watching. And in fact, I went through a difficult time in my 30s where I was not doing what I was supposed to be doing. I had lost my gratitude, forgiveness, accountability, inspiration, and it ended up causing me to lose over $100 million and go bankrupt in 2008. But the most poignant moment with my wife, who I adore, and we're going on to 25 years of marriage, and I met her in the 4th grade, and she's my dream girl still today. First boy to ask her to go steady, and the last one hated me from the time I was 10 until the time I was 26. But I learned, but moreover, she said to me when I was doing the wrong things, when I wasn't paying attention to my family, my health, my work, she said to me, "What would your mom say?" I still get choked up because it clicked in my mind. I had lost what you're talking about, that my family is watching, the divine is watching. And I work within the context of gratitude, forgiveness, accountability, and inspiration now that I walk the walk. I don't care if you believe in Jesus. It doesn't bother me one bit, but I want you to walk like Jesus. I want you to find and pursue your higher self at all times, to be kind to your future self, to do good deeds, to do what's right, not the right thing, to do what's right, to do good deeds, to be abundant, to live in limitlessness and infinity, to be kind. All of these things are what my family means to me. They're always watching.
Wow, that's so powerful. Reminds me, my dad taught me, he says, at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, before you go to bed, there's one person that looks at you when you look in the mirror, and you have to be okay with that person.
You learn to love you.
Yeah, exactly. Well, this is very powerful. So for somebody who says, wow, David, this is amazing. How can I find out more about you? Where should we send them?
Oh, please email me directly. I have a 14-day gratitude challenge. I do free trainings on Friday. I'll even give your whole audience, I will sign my book, send it to them, and pay for the book and shipping. I don't mind. Just email me directly, david@dmeltzer.com. Please put it in the notes, david@dmeltzer.com, or just Google my name, David Meltzer. I'm blessed to be fairly popular, so you'll be able to find me that way.
Millions of hits, no less. David, this has been an absolute pleasure to be here with you and to share this. So again, possibility, probability, and perspective. Make sure that that you stay consistent and persistent with your behavior and understand what's not negotiable from you. Always start there and then work your way down to figuring out what you really want. Thank you so much for being here. And for everybody who is listening, look up David. He's the real deal. I checked him out thoroughly and I follow you. I appreciate you. And this is it for us today. Thank you so much for being a part of the Business Growth Architect Show. And that's it for us today. Thank you for listening and watching the Business Growth Architect Show. I enjoyed having you here. And for accountability, just take one of the strategies that you have heard, one thing that you can implement in your business immediately. Please leave comments. Don't forget to like and share this show. And if you have any questions about business, please put them in the comments. We are here for you. We're here to support you and help you to grow, build, and scale your own business. For more advice, please check out our website in the show notes below. Thank you again. This is Beate Gillette, the Growth Architect, and goodbye.